Thank you for being with me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Thousands of new subscribers. One of the reasons why on this channel I do it for safety. I track where the storms will go, and it has been panning out as exactly like we've been talking about in the previous videos. You could go back and take a look. These are the storms in Romania. We had that yesterday in parts of western Ukraine, exactly where we were talking about in the previous video. And again, I was tracking that as well back toward Slovenia, Croatia, where we had some of the bigger storms earlier in the week. So again, doing this channel for safety, so thank you for spreading the word. And in this video, I want to track where the new storms will go. Unfortunately, we've had scenes like this in Romania with these big storms moving in. I did my best to give you the heads up, and that's exactly what we did see in spots, unfortunately, back through Romania and western sections of Ukraine over the last couple days. Here's the setup again. It's this spin just hanging around Lithuania and Latvia, Estonia, Belarus. That spin is intact. And that is a storm system, and that is bringing us some heavier weather. Jet stream kind of dipping back toward the west. We're seeing that heat build, but the heat is going to build temporarily for some of us. I want to show you another drop off as well. But we have this area of low pressure right here, right back through Poland and Lithuania, another one back toward the west. So in between, and we'll just see that heat building through the weekend before we get a drop off as we work our way into next week. Now, here's what's going on, and you can see it on the satellite and radar. It's this spin right in through here, bringing some additional rain. We've been even seeing that back toward parts of Finland, swinging back towards Sweden, watching it. I'll zoom down in just a second, watching out for some of that rain spinning all the way around back through Belarus. We get back through here, starting to see some more pop-up clouds. So watching southern France, northern Spain, not as much Portugal, but this is where we're going to see some of the storms building right near Andorra the next couple of days, and then shifting back toward the east. And then we'll keep an eye on our next storm system that will arrive next week, sweeping into parts of the UK and Ireland, with even the potential of some heavier weather down the road. Not yet, but down the road. Here's that zoomed down look, so you can see over toward Copenhagen, Amsterdam. We're kind of on that northerly flow of this over toward Brussels, seeing that again back through Denmark, back through Sweden, over toward Stockholm, seeing some of that rain that's rotating around from Helsinki. Just that rotation with us, driving some of that rain back through parts of Poland today, Lithuania, seeing some of that rain, and we'll see some of that, even some thunderstorms back through Belarus with this area. So let me show you the storm threat and then the big temperature change again headed our way in some spots. Now this is for tomorrow to look ahead. You could see again northern sections of Spain, southern France, and still keeping an eye on much of the Alps, as well as we'll see that storm threat building. But with these storms, anywhere really from Valencia north back through Andorra, 125 millimeters of rain, but hail and strong winds are a potential. So we're going to see them starting to rebuild in our western sections and then starting to work across. So here's Sunday, to give you the heads up. Sunday, you see not as much France and Spain. Could still get a couple storms, no doubt, but you see it kind of shifting its way, watching back toward parts of Austria, Switzerland, northern sections of Italy. But even as we work our way back through Florence, Bologna, Rome, we could get a couple pop-up storms. 100 millimeters of rain again. Hail and strong winds will be a couple of the threats. So we've seen those storms on the move near Romania, for example, the last few days. Now we're seeing it building back in our western zones again, and then shifting off toward the east. Now let's switch over to the temperatures. Then I want to show you all of this on the move and the tropics as well. Now through the weekend we'll be heating up. Here's a look at London, for example, about 31, 32 degrees today. By Tuesday we'll get a little drop off, temperatures around 25. That's with our next front moving in. So kind of to give you a feel of what's coming up and down, no doubt, with the storm systems arriving. Amsterdam, for example, right around 25 today. We'll be down to about 20 as we work our way into Tuesday. So heating up through the weekend. We'll be heating up through Paris, 31 today. By Tuesday, a little bit of a drop off right around 26. Of course, our southern zones are no doubt just going to flat out stay hot. All right, here's a look at the storms today. Now starting to put some of this into motion. I'll take you around, show you the rain totals, and again the tropics in a moment. Here are some of those pop-up storms, watching that. If we get them, they could be quite strong. By tomorrow, kind of rebuilding again exactly where I showed you. This is deeper into our Saturday, so you get over toward Marseille, even Monaco, we could get a couple of those storms back through Barcelona. And then you see how it kind of shifts on Sunday, sliding off toward the east. So we watch Florence, Bologna, not as much Naples, mainly north, that chance of storms. Watching over toward parts of Austria, central, southern sections. Same thing in Switzerland, southern section seeing storms. And then starting to push again, more off toward the east. You see over toward Slovenia again, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia. We could get some hit or miss storms. Greece, we're just going to be baking, monitoring that fire threat, no doubt, for many locations as well. But look at Munich as we work our way into Monday, giving you the heads up. Parts of Germany, we could eventually get some thunderstorms by the time we get into either late this weekend or early next week. Now let's swing back to the north here. This is today, watching that spin around this afternoon, and then you could still see some of that leftover rain back through Poland, couple storms in Russia. This is as we work our way into our Saturday. As we go forward into Sunday, this spin kind of rotates around. Russia getting a couple storms, Norway a little bit, but here comes the next area. Here we are over towards Scotland, Northern Ireland, to get back toward England, Wales, watching out for that chance of our next storm system really arriving on Monday. So we'll see how it kind of pivots around, kind of spinning just to the south here of Iceland, but Monday would be our better chance of rain. But look at the storms out ahead of all of this. We could get some thunderstorms possible on Monday. Norway, Sweden, Finland, even some Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. We'll keep an eye on Denmark south, back through the Netherlands, Belgium, and I mentioned Germany, Poland. Scattered storms, not for all of us, but they're rather going to be widespread as we work our way into Monday. A lot of those pop-up storms around, and some of those will be on the strong side. Very progressive pattern we're dealing with. So here's that bigger picture. Here's that initial spin. A lot of that energy sitting off to the west, but in between these two spins, there's the heat. That's what I was showing you earlier. The heat will be building, popping up some of those storms. That's what we'll be watching initially right in through here, and then everything kind of shifts. As this spin kind of spins itself out, we watch out for the next area approaching, and then as we work our way into tomorrow, there's some of that rain that's still around, some scattered storms, but watching this next area getting a little closer to Ireland. Remember, warming up for a lot of us through the weekend. That'll provide some of the energy for some of these storms to fire up, and then you see how they kind of shift over toward the east as we work our way forward into Sunday. Here comes that next storm system that'll be diving by. Sunday will be hot. Look at these spotty storms that will be around Sunday into Monday. We'll be watching that just scattered about widespread areas. Turkey, we're going to watch out for some of the storms. North Macedonia, we could get a couple of the thunderstorms, and then all the way north, all the way back through Finland, Sweden, Norway, and there comes that next rainmaker trying to make its way back toward the British Isles, and eventually that'll change some of the temperatures. That temperature drop off I talked about, we'll see that as we get into next week. Now, looking at some of the rain totals, let me zoom down for the 3-day rain totals where you see this white shading, where we get some of those thunderstorms the next couple days. That's where we could get over 100 millimeters of rain. Showed you that earlier. Watching those thunderstorms, could get some bigger storms. And we're going to see that rain outlook relatively high. It's not all day stuff, though. It's not all day stuff. But you see, again, southern end of Norway, Sweden, Finland, south back through Poland. Poland, parts of Germany, we could get some higher totals. Not all of Germany, mainly western, or rather eastern sections, where we'll get some spots over 75, even up to about 100 millimeters of some rain. But we're mainly dry as we work our way from Amsterdam, Brussels, as we swing back toward Luxembourg, mainly on the dry side. Same thing, London, Edinburgh, back toward Glasgow, mainly on the dry side through Dublin until Monday. That's when that next system moves in. Now, the tropical Atlantic, generally not seeing any development as of right now. A few spots I'm watching over toward the Caribbean, a couple tropical waves, but here's what's going to happen. This is early August. This is showing that chance of development when we would expect it. It's early in the hurricane season, but as we get into August, we start to get closer to the peak of the season. This coloring in here off the coast of Africa is showing some signs of development, basically. Things will be more conducive for development. So as things develop, we kind of get that up and around pattern. I'll be watching any of the remnants that may head toward Europe as we get deeper into the hurricane season. August into September, October, even November, we watch out for some of the remnants of these things kind of sliding our way. So I'll keep a very close eye on that. So storm areas are changing, kind of shifting back toward the west, and then we'll see them moving as we go throughout the weekend. Hail damaging winds along with some of those higher rain totals. Heat staying around this weekend, but by next week for some of us, we get another drop off in the temp. So again, thank you for subscribing, being part of this weather community. I hope you have a good weekend ahead.